bolt could destroy you with one whisper from his mouth.
What mouth?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 most brutal, over-the-top deaths in the MCU. For this list, we'll be looking at the most violent demises seen in this universe. While we'll include Disney Plus shows, we won't be counting the Netflix releases. Since we're dealing with violent endings, beware major spoilers ahead. Which death did you think was the most brutal? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 20. Obadiah Stane, Iron Man. The demise of the MCU's first villain is delectably ironic. Obadiah Stane cemented his villain status when he pulled the miniature arc reactor keeping Tony alive out of the billionaire's chest. So it was only fitting that the same tech led to the villain's downfall. While Tony and Stane were engaged in a deadly battle, they found themselves standing above a giant arc reactor. Iron Man then asked Pepper Potts to overload the device.
Just do it!
You die!
Push it!
This caused Stane to get electrocuted before he fell a few stories and perished in a giant explosion. Honestly, S.H.I.E.L.D. might have lied about the villain's cause of death solely because it was so excessive.
There's nothing about Stane here.
That's being handled. He's on vacation. Small aircraft have such a poor safety record.
Number 19. Shocker, Spider-Man Homecoming. This minor villain's name is pretty apt considering his death came as a surprise to both audiences and the person who killed him. The first Shocker worked to spread alien tech on the black market under his boss Adrian Toomes. But when he drew too much attention to the operation and threatened to tell the Superior's wife, the Vulture laid down the law with an alien weapon.
You know what? What? You're right. They weren't. I can't afford that.
When he fired it, everyone was surprised to see that Shocker had been turned into a pile of ash. The funniest bit is that Vulture thought he was holding an anti-gravity gun the whole time.
I thought this was the anti-gravity gun.
What? No, that's that one.
While Toomes didn't mean to go to such extremes, the kill was in line with his ruthless nature. Number 18. Queen Ramona, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. When Namor led a surprise attack on Wakanda, many innocent citizens perished in brutal ways. But their queen may have gotten the worst of it. By using specially designed water bombs, Namor is able to completely flood the room that the royal is standing in. Although Queen Ramona survived the initial blast, she died while getting her ally Riri to safety. The character's reactions to the royal's death are simply heartbreaking. While the Queen's method of death wasn't as physically over the top as other demises, her passing made for a brutal gut punch. Wakandans could do nothing but mourn as they lost yet another one of their leaders.
I just buried the last person who truly knew me. My heart was buried with her.
Number 17. Hela, Thor Ragnarok. The goddess of death causes a lot of chaos throughout Thor Ragnarok, so it's only fitting that she goes out in a completely over-the-top way. During the movie's climactic battle in Asgard, the heroes figure out that the goddess can only be stopped by destroying Asgard. This prompts the characters to unleash the fire giant Surtur.
You can't defeat me.
No, I know. But he can.
When Hela attempts to destroy the destructive deity, he reduces her to dust with his gigantic sword. Just in case anyone thought she survived, Asgard explodes for good measure. Hela's extremely thorough demise ensured she wouldn't be coming back for any future family reunions.
Those foundations are gone, sorry.
Number 16. Billy Fitzgerald, Moon Knight.
Hexa Hekal.
Sorcerers of their time. They've been down here for centuries, and these must be some of the unlucky souls who crossed their path.
Even if you don't remember his name, you probably remember his death. Billy Fitzgerald was a corrupt police detective that supported the villain Arthur Harrow. While the cop was on the big bad's payroll, he followed his boss into a tomb. Unfortunately for Billy, he got captured by an ancient priest. The sinister, holy official then proceeded to relieve the detective of his organs while the cop was still alive. While we don't see all the gory details, we can hear what this impromptu operation sounds like. Although Billy wasn't the greatest guy, we're still not sure if he deserved such a harsh ending.
I'm just saying what I see, and I see lots of bones and blood going that way.
Number 15. Ajax, Eternals. We were sad to see Gilgamesh go out in such a horrible way while defending his friends. However, the team's original leader got a more brutal demise. After Ajax and her team of Eternals killed the vicious deviants, her subordinate Icarus let her know the creatures were back. But he didn't just want to give her a heads up.
I can't let you betray Arishem.
Why don't you just kill me yourself?
After taking his boss to the deviants, Icarus betrays Ajax and pushes her into a pit of the creatures. She's savagely attacked by a wolf-like beast before her life force gets completely drained. This death is especially harsh because she didn't die doing something heroic. In the end, Ajax had a painful demise because one of her former allies had lost their way.
It was a deviant.
Number 14. Maria and Howard Stark, Captain America: Civil War. We had long known that Tony Stark lost his parents at a relatively early age, but we had no idea how dreadful their passing was. The exact nature of their deaths was revealed in Captain America: Civil War. During the climax, Zemo shows Tony footage of what happened to them on that fateful night in 1991.
I know that road.
What is this?
A then brainwashed Bucky was ordered to hunt them down and intercept a briefcase holding a recreation of the super soldier serum. After running them off the road, Bucky beat Howard multiple times in the head before choking Maria. This revelation is made all the more terrible by the fact that Cap knew and never told Tony.
Did you know? I didn't know it was him. Shut me. I just did you know. Yes.
We can't really blame him for lashing out. Number 13. Camertage Librarian, Doctor Strange. Thanos wasn't the first character to get decapitated in the MCU. Preceding the Glass Dimension fight, one of the best opening sequences in the franchise, Caecilius and his followers break into Camertage's library. But before he can get what he's after, he disposes of the librarian. Director Scott Derrickson tapped into his horror roots, having Caecilius string up the poor bookkeeper as he screams. He then lobs off his head with silhouettes showing the grisly murder. Most disturbing shadow puppets ever. Although it's a character we never get the name of, the cold, swift nature of it makes the scene exceptionally barbaric.
Master Caecilius, that ritual will bring you only sorrow.
And it sets the villain up as a ruthless antagonist. Number 12. Gamora, Avengers: Infinity War. During the Mad Titan's quest for the Infinity Stones, he learns that he can only get the complete set if he sacrifices something he loves on the planet Vormir. It doesn't take Thanos long to realize that his adoptive daughter Gamora was his best option.
Really? Tears?
They're not for him.
Although she fights to get out of his grip, the Mad Titan drags her to a cliff in Vormir and throws her over the edge. The dramatic music and editing further emphasized how absurdly brutal her death was, and the fact that her end brought Thanos closer to his goal made it even more painful. After watching Gamora perish on Vormir, we got a second dose of this harsh death when Black Widow sacrificed herself to get the stone.
It's
Number 11. Happy Hogan. What If? While the zombie episode of What If doesn't quite match the ferocity of its comic source material, it still has some pretty nasty moments for an animated series aimed at kids.
That sort of seems like overkill. Whoa!
One is the death of everyone's favorite Stark employee, Happy Hogan. As one of the surviving team's members without powers, Happy uses one of Tony's repulsor gloves to fight the undead. Sadly, that doesn't really help against a zombified Hawkeye shooting arrows from the dark. Happy is pulled into the darkness as he futilely fires towards his attacker, getting turned moments later. Sharon Carter, quick on her feet, turns the undead Happy's glove back on him, blasting him straight in the face.
sorry, Happy.
We don't see the carnage, but the sound effect is gross enough. Number 10. Loki, Avengers Infinity War. Until the opening scene of Infinity War, Big Bad Thanos had merely made cameos or been referenced to, but this moment signified how much trouble he'd be for the mighty Avengers.
You have had the privilege of being saved by the great Titan. You may think this is suffering. No. It is salvation.
After murdering a multitude of Asgardians and physically besting the Hulk, Loki thought he'd take a literal stab at stopping the Mad Titan.
Undying. You should choose your words more carefully.
Thanos isn't one to be fooled easily, however. Seeing the fan-favorite anti-hero get the life choked from him after finding redemption was tragic. Everything from Loki's gagging sounds to his purple face is absolutely cold-blooded.
You will never be.
Although we now have an alternate version of Loki to adventure with, that doesn't stop this death from being impactful. Number 9. May Parker, Spider-Man No Way Home. In No Way Home, Aunt May convinces her nephew Peter to help villains like Norman Osborn live normal lives.
Thanks, mate. Hope to see you again.
Hey, he trusts you. So do I.
But her kindness backfires. After Spidey gets close to curing Norman, the man is completely taken over by his Green Goblin personality. The big bad soon overwhelms Peter and leaves the hero helpless. When Aunt May tries to save her nephew, Green Goblin hits her with his glider. To make matters worse, the villain blows up the lobby she's in. It's unclear which painful injury was ultimately the cause of May's death. But no matter which misdeed killed her, there's no question that her demise was unbearably cruel.
You're okay. You're okay. You just catch my friend.
Number 8. Iron Man, Avengers Endgame. Iron Man and his fellow Avengers knew they couldn't let Thanos use the Infinity Stones under any circumstances. When the Mad Titan got the powerful items in his grasp, Tony used his tech to steal them back. Instead of trying to flee, Iron Man made a stand and used the Infinity Stones to eliminate Thanos and an army of goons.
I am Iron Man.
The cosmic items were so powerful that Tony was left with severe burns and inoperable injuries. His body was so damaged that he could barely form words. In the end, Tony only succumbs to his awful wounds when his wife Pepper let him know that he could let go.
We're gonna be okay. You can rest now.
As his life flickered out, we doubt there was a dry eye in the house. Number 7. Quicksilver, Avengers Age of Ultron. Pietro Maximoff and his sister Wanda started off as sworn enemies of the Avengers.
You didn't see that coming?
But after spending some time with the sadistic Ultron, they changed their tune and switched to the good side. During the climax in Sokovia, the city is flooded with bots and the heroes do their best to get everyone to safety. As Hawkeye holds a child, a drone fires bullets their way. But the lightning-fast Quicksilver moves the non-powered individuals out of the way and takes all the gunfire himself. The high artillery wounds looked absolutely painful, and as a final twist of the knife, Quicksilver's last words were meant to make an old enemy smile.
You didn't see that coming.
Number 6. Nico, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We all immediately knew something was off with John Walker. The would-be Captain America never seemed fit to hold Steve's shield. That concern was solidified in the miniseries' most brutal moment. Following the death of his friend Lamar Hoskins at the hand of Carly, John lost all sense of composure. He ran down one of Carly's flag smashers and proceeded to beat him in the chest repeatedly with his shield. Nico's cries of innocence and the thuds from Walker's tremendous force had us stunned.
It wasn't me!
But the most powerful aspect of this death is the shot of Walker holding Cap's bloodied shield. The shocked expressions of the witnesses mirror our own. Number 5. Thanos, Avengers Endgame. With Thanos successful at the end of Infinity War, many were left with unfathomable loss. One hero who took the weight of that loss to heart most was Thor, who had failed to kill the villain before he snapped his fingers.
You should have gone for the head.
Surprisingly, the remaining heroes were able to band together quickly and track Thanos down. Unfortunately, by the time they got to him, Thanos had already destroyed the stones.
Where are the stones?
Gone. Reduced to atoms.
You used them 2 days ago.
We used the stones to destroy the stones.
With no way to actually win, Thor broke and decapitated him. We don't see many decapitations in the MCU, yet what makes this death brutal on an emotional level is that it's far from a victory.
What did you do? I went for the head.
The villain is killed in a savage manner, but the heroes are still left with loss. Number 4. Varusa Bloodstone, Werewolf by Night.
But once this is over, you'll notice my hands are clean. His, not so much.
After Man-Thing was trapped on the Bloodstone estate, Lady Varusa made a group of hunters compete to slay the gentle giant. When she discovers that one of the hunters is a werewolf, the violent leader attempts to kill the Lycan too. But Varusa's bloodlust turns out to be her undoing. Shortly after her attempts to kill Jack the werewolf backfires, Man-Thing returns for revenge.
You will now die as you lived. A disgrace to your father's memory and the hallowed Bloodstone name.
He uses his special ability to burn her from the inside out before tossing her aside like a rag doll. Having Varusa perish at the hands of the monster she tried to kill made for a scene that was full of brutal and ironic justice. Number 3. Hulk, What If? In a particularly macabre episode of What If, a vengeful Hank Pym starts slaughtering heroes before the Avengers have a chance to form.
You okay? Start.
Tony! Tony! He's dead.
His most cruel murder is that of Bruce Banner. Throughout the episode, we see events of several heroes' origin stories. During the university fight of the Incredible Hulk, things take an even nastier turn. After transforming and battling with General Ross's forces, Hulk begins to grow even larger.
Bruce!
Normally, the Hulk growing larger would be cause for celebration, but here it's deadly. His body swells until it can't anymore, bursting in front of awestruck soldiers. That's one nasty demise, even if it does just result in a cloud of green smoke. Number 2. Vision. Avengers Infinity War. With Thanos hunting Infinity Stones, we went into Infinity War worried for the character who had one embedded in his head.
And he is not going to stop until he gets Vision's stone.
Well, then we have to protect it.
No, we have to destroy it.
But it was so much worse than what we imagined. As the Avengers try to slow Thanos down, Wanda is forced to destroy the Mind Stone along with the person she loves. That's bad enough, except that with the Time Stone, Thanos is able to reverse Vision's death so that he can rip the Time Stone out of the android's head with his bare hands. Tossing the lifeless gray body with a gaping hole in its head aside, Vision's death signals Thanos' victory. Both of his deaths are heartbreaking and utterly brutal. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Illuminati. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. With Sam Raimi at the helm, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was chock full of surprisingly vicious violence for a PG-13 feature. No scene was more brutal than the fight between the Illuminati and the Scarlet Witch.
Wanda, stop. You've possessed an innocent woman, but you can still do the right thing. Let her go.
We were still riding the high of seeing these heroes when they started to drop like flies. Black Bolt's death is perhaps the most ruthless. Wanda vanishes his mouth, causing him to scream in horror and pop his own skull.
Black Bolt could destroy you with one whisper from his mouth.
What mouth?
However, cutting Captain Carter in half with her own shield is also pretty ferocious. Regardless of whose death is the most shocking, the entirety of the fight is undeniably bloodthirsty. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.